I am a fan of decorative stitches, applique stitches, even satin stitches. So much so that we've even designed an online course called the Stitching Cosmos online course that helps you work with your machine, accessories, and even the decorative stitches built into this machine. So if you are always hungry for just that one more thing, check out the links below for the Stitching Cosmos course. There are free videos that you can watch to see if this course is right for you. And we're going to go and look into which stitches are the blanket stitches, or some people call them applique stitches too. Just a reminder, we have a video on how to make a stitch book. So stitching out all your stitches, I know this is from a different machine, but you can really see that you're going to get a better idea of what the stitches look like when they're stitched out versus just pictured right here on the machine. And so what we're doing is just kind of taking the time to explore the blanket stitches. A lot of Singer machines will have the same techniques and stitches from model to model. So even though we're working today with the Singer Elite CE677, you're going to find that these videos can be very helpful for no matter which model of machine you own. We're also going to talk about which foot came with this machine that is ideal for doing decorative stitches and applique stitches. So start by opening up the part down below that really shows you all your stitches pictured. Now, once again, once you start stitching these, I think you're going to see what I'm talking about, that they look 10 times better sewn out in thread. And on this machine, there are 2 levels, so don't forget to get to your menu 3 and your alphabets and numbers in menu 4. So we're talking about stitches down here in menu 2 that are 56, 57. You can actually use a lot of these stitches, even though they're not the traditional blanket stitch as by that name. I have been known to use all these decorative stitches for applique stitches or applique techniques. So just because it's not a blanket stitch doesn't mean you can't use the stitch. You might narrow it down or shorten it or make it bigger or longer, and you can totally tailor a stitch to go around, say, a raw edge. So let's just start by picking stitch number 56, and then I'm going to stitch out stitch number 57 to show you the difference, plus explain what the difference is on the feet. I see I'm still in menu 1, so touch the M for menu 2, and then touch 56. So it's going to come up with a default width and length. We also see that this foot it recommends is T. Now, yes, you can sew that stitch with foot T, but the difference between that one, the standard presser foot, and your clear foot A is that when you start jumping around to decorative stitches, I would want you to put this foot on because it's got the cutout underneath. So those thicker ones on your menus here, you can kind of stitch them simultaneously. There's room for the thicker stitches to flow out the back. Where on the back of a standard presser foot, you just see this kind of more of a notch, but not a full place for those stitches to move. Sometimes we get piled up or the stitches look kind of squished together. So because I like to see where I'm going too, I think you'll enjoy using the clear foot that is designed for kind of a lot of the other decorative stitches. So as we kind of sew, and I'm kind of just doing a couple samples as I show in different videos what these stitches to look like. You can step on the foot control, but you can also use the start button right here. So if you want to push on the button until it starts, you can actually let the machine just stitch for you. Let me show you one more trick. If you want the pattern to end at the end of its sequence, engage the pattern end over here. So that's going to show up on screen. Then when you start the machine to sew and use the knot button or the locking feature, it will go to the end of the stitch, then knot, and then stop. And then you can kind of take it out and see what it looks like. So here is one of the stitches. Noticing that there are 3 stitches in between each of the kind of bites. So let's take a look at stitch number 57, and we'll do the same thing, kind of just stitch right beside it. I'm going to use that start stop button because it's really easy. And if you want, you can speed it up. So whatever you're comfortable stitching speed is, you can do that. I love changing that for like if I have a youngster sitting and sewing with me, then it's not too fast. Again, I can touch this, it'll finish, lock, and stop, and then we can compare these stitches together. Now, once you see them, you can see that the bite is fairly large at 3.5 millimeters wide. You can notice that you can change the length and the width to these stitches, so you can totally tailor it for the way you want to be. By the way, I have stabilizer under here, so make sure that you have something to support the stitches when you're sewing. You can't just sew on one layer of fabric. So I'm going to just change the stitch width and length a little bit just to change it up and show you how easy it is to kind of get a different look. So each of these stitches could have its own look just with a minimal amount of change. And yes, I am using variegated thread, but I really like the kind of proportion that this is giving me on this stitch versus it's kind of close at the default setting. So don't be afraid to lengthen it out and get the look that you're after. This is one stitch I really like. This is on the Singer machine. I had no idea it was going to look that cool. I just randomly picked it, and I think that's one of my favorite stitches now, especially with variegated thread. I hope you'll check out the links below, the complete list of all the different things you can do with the Singer sewing machine, including more decorative stitches. But we do buttonholes. We teach you how to clean it. We show you the proper way to use a needle threader. You'll find all those videos in the playlist link here at the end of this video, and also a link in the description. I hope you'll enjoy sewing so much more now that you know your machine inside and out.